It's that time of the month again where I try to remember what the heck I read. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is April and today we're going to do a wrap up. We're going to do January's wrap up. I read a ton of great books in January. I had a really great month. I read 16 books, which is quite a lot for me to read. I think I normally read around 11 or 12, but man, I was just on a roll last month. And out of those 16, I had 3 5-star books, 10 4-star books, and then 3 more 3-star books. I didn't have any 2 stars and I didn't have any DNFs. So yeah, great month. Let's get into it. The first book I read was The Detective Duke by Scarlett Scott. This was my second Scarlett Scott book. The first one was a novella. So this was my first full-length Scarlett Scott book. And I loved it. I gave it 4 stars. It was fantastic. So in this book, you have a reluctant Duke. He inherited this dukedom, being 9th in line or something like that. And it's a crumbling estate. He needs money. He needs money quickly to save his estate and all the tenants. So he finds Elisande, and she also needs to get married so that her younger sister can marry the person that she loves. So they meet, they enter into this marriage of convenience, and it is wonderful from there. There's this overarching murder mystery plot where the detective goes back to figure out an old case where someone has recently escaped from prison. Yeah, it was really good. What worked for me in this book is that these 2 main characters, they never wavered on their support for each other. Once they committed, and I really loved that. Even when things started heating up between them, I mean, their first coupling is very frantic, and then all of the steamy scenes in this are very long and very well written, and it just really draws you into their relationship. What didn't work for me in this one is you can kind of guess who the killer is right away, but that's okay. It's not a big deal. But also the cinnamon roll hero in this was just a little too good. Like, I need my cinnamon roll heroes to have just a teensy bit of mischief, make him a dirty talker or something like that. But that's okay. He was still really good and I really liked it. After that, I read Bloodmarked, which is the second book from Tracy Deonn in her Legendborn series. This is just a solid YA fantasy. In this one, Bree is very well fleshed out. I loved her historic emotional journey in this. It was really great. If you don't know what Legendborn is about, it's basically a gender-bent Arthurian legend tale, and it follows Bree, who is in her college, and she's going to this college and trying to infiltrate this group of people, and they become the Knights of the Round Table, basically. But yeah, if you like YA fantasy, just read this one. It's so good. And also read it on audiobook because the narrator, fantastic. And the next book that I read after that fantastic book was another fantastic book. In fact, it was my first 5-star read of the month, and that is One Duke Down by Anna Bennett. This one had a smile on my face the entire time. It was so sweet, so charming. I just loved it. In this one, you have Poppy, who is a fisherwoman, and instead of fish one morning, she goes out to look at her nets and she catches a man. And she's pissed. She's so mad. She's like, there goes all my fish for the day. I can't sell them at the market. So she hauls this idiot out of the ocean up the beach and tells him, get out of here, you pirate. And he comes to and he's like, I'm not a pirate, I'm a duke. And she's like, yeah, right. They had just the best meet cute ever. He someone is trying to murder him, so he enlists Poppy's help in hiding him so he can figure out who his attempted murderer is. And they go from there. They're in this little hut on the beach somewhere and in close quarters, and they just start to ask each other questions and really get to know each other. And I really, really, really loved it. Nothing didn't work for me in this book. I loved every single bit of it. I loved all the adventures they went on, and I think you should really check it out. It's a really, really great one. And after that, surprise, surprise, a really good book. I just went from one good book to another. And that was Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent. This book, again, very, very good, very solid fantasy romance book. You have Tasana, who is a slave, and she has been told that if she gathers 1,000 gold pieces, that she will earn her freedom. But does that happen? No, of course not. It doesn't. So she escapes and she runs to this order and she begs them to help them teach her how to use her magic. And in doing so, she is paired up with this very curmudgeon, reluctant trainer named Max, who does not want anything to do with magic. He does not want to train anybody else in magic. And so they each don't trust each other. They have to learn to love each other. The only thing that didn't work for me in this book is that around the middle, they started introducing a lot of characters and a lot of side characters, and I started getting a little confused. So they weren't even big side characters, but everyone had a name, everyone had a role, and I just was starting to get a little confused on who everybody is and what they do. If you like an epic slow burn romance, this one is definitely for you. The next two books I read very quickly, and honestly, I don't remember too much about them, so I'll go through them very quickly. The first one is A Star Pilot's Fearless Rebel by Evie Delaney and Vivi Clark. And this was one of my sci-fi space opera romances that I thought would be great. I liked the premise of it. She is a smuggler and she's working with the resistance kind of thing. And she has to team up with not only her ex, but 4 other men to carry on this mission. And I thought this would be a why choose romance in space. However, she does only end up with one guy in this one, and I think in subsequent books she gets with one of the other guys in each book, but it wasn't quite what I wanted. They play like tag in the freaking spaceship at some point. I was just like, what the heck is going on? Come on. So I give this one 3 stars. It was okay. It just wasn't what I wanted exactly. And the one after that is The Longing of Lone Wolves by Lana Pehersik. And this one was good. I did give it 4 stars. Another very great another very solid fantasy romance. This one had a little bit of a sci-fi element to it because there seems like to be some kind of time traveling element to it. But you have basically a shifter wolf who wants to break a curse, and he needs to sell this girl that he found to break the curse. And they, have this road trip romance of some sort. And it was really good. I really liked it. I'm intrigued enough to go on to the next one. And after those 2 books, I read another 5-star book, which I absolutely loved. And that is A Kingdom of Stars and Shadows by Holly Renee. In this, you have Adara, who is star-blessed, and she has been raised to wed the prince of the Fae Kingdom. But on the day that she's to be taken to the Fae Kingdom, sparks fly with a young Fae captain who is helping her get to where she needs to be. When she arrives right away, she realizes that the queen and the prince are a little bit more wicked maybe than they seem to be, and she feels uncomfortable and unsafe with them. And she cannot help but be pulled towards this Fae captain the entire time. What worked for me in this book? Everything. Like literally everything. The captain is dark and mysterious, and he is very, very direct in what he likes about her. And he does not hold anything back. And I just loved it. I loved these two together. Again, I love that can't keep your hands off each other, even though it's a forbidden romance and she's betrothed to someone else. She just can't not get with this Fae captain. Nothing really didn't work for me in this. If I had to nitpick something, I would say that this is a fantasy romance that really does not go deep into the fantasy portion of this. There is no world building really. And there also isn't like any epicness about it. It is quite literally just them in this kingdom and them, getting into situations together. So if I could nitpick something, I would say more world building, because I do think this world is very interesting and I would have liked a little bit more from that. But I ain't mad about this book at all. This is a 5-star and I just freaking loved it. Another court life book that I read right after that, but it's sci-fi court life, and that is Smoke and Mirrors by Evie Kent. You have a king who is a warrior, and he becomes king of a planet that is like the fashion capital of the universe. He is hungry for bloodshed, and he has to have a queen next to him after 3 years of running this place. And she comes into the fold here, and the only thing special about her is that she wears red instead of silver. And somehow he's like, ooh, queen for me. And this is a very brutal and dark romance. He is not easy on her, but she just takes it. And it was an interesting book to say the least. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. After that, I read Love Only Once by Joanna Lindsay. This again is with my read along with Crystal from Books Forever After. And yeah, I think I settled on 4 stars on this one. Yeah, I ended up giving this 4 stars. We have a whole live show about this, which I will tag below in the notes for you. But this book was a ride, and I took a lot of notes on it. After that, I read Hold by Claire Kent. This is another sci-fi romance. It's set on a prison planet in a prison, and it's just kind of a day in the life type of thing. She is told right away when she goes to this prison that she better shack up with some dude now, otherwise she's dead. So that's what exactly she does. She gives herself over for protection, and they start a relationship together, and it's very, very good. Very, very good. I have been really enjoying Claire Kent's books lately, and I'm definitely going to be continuing on with the series. After that, I read Unbroken Bonds by Jay Bree, and this one unfortunately wasn't my favorite. It just was kind of all over the place. I think my biggest problem with it was that they introduced some names of characters, and it just started to really confuse me. And listen, I don't like feeling dumb in books, okay? I don't like feeling dumb. When I feel dumb, I start to lose interest very, very quickly. And also some other things happened with some characters that I just couldn't even remember. The series as a whole, I still really love. My favorite books are probably 2, 3, and 5. But yeah, this one, unfortunately, I was disappointed with. I still really liked it. I really liked the ending of this whole series. I'm glad to be done with it, but at the same time, I love it so much. I think it'll probably be reread at some point for me in the future, but yeah. Really glad it's over for now. 6 books is a lot of books. The next book I read was Portrait of a Duchess by Scarlett Peckham. This is an arc, and unfortunately, I didn't love it. I ended up giving it 3 stars. I still think it was really good, but I prefer the Ray Kess over this one. In this one, you have Cornelia, who is an artist, and she is scandalous, and in pops her secret husband Rafe, who comes back after 20 years, and he has also unexpectedly inherited a dukedom, and in order for her to receive an inheritance, they have to be married, or she has to be married, should I say. So he's like, let's take the secret marriage and make it public, and she's not quite down with that. However, they make an exchange so where she can hold her art exhibit at his home, then she'll say that she's a duchess, basically, and also help him run the estate. And the standout for this book is definitely the friends group. In this, every time they're together, it's like, you know, it's the best part of the book. What didn't work for me is that a lot of the book is told in flashbacks, and the flashbacks really aren't necessary, in my opinion, to their romance. I would have much rather seen their romance blossom in the today, now times, rather than in their flashbacks. However, if you like a bold heroine and then just characters in historical times that are very open with their sexuality, I think you will enjoy it. And I really look forward to reading whatever Scarlett Peckham has next. After that, I continued on with my Lily Archer Fae Captive series. I read both Taken and The Bazaar, and I just cannot stay away from these books. They are so funny, and this is with Beth and Gareth. And if you like a good caveman fated mates hero, and just like a plucky, snarky heroine, and then they just get in all kinds of hijinks and shenanigans together, you will really love this. This series really makes me laugh and smile. I'm currently reading the 3rd book, and the crude unicorn makes a comeback. I'm I'm just living for these books. I gave both of them 4 stars. After that, I read a new to me author, Daria Vernon, and the book is called Get Thee Off My Lawn. And it was a very short book, but I loved it. This was my 3rd 5-star of the month. It was great. Could I possibly be biased because the heroine's name is April too? Yeah, I could be. But I really enjoyed this one. It was a really good time. In this one, April is missing her prized swan, and her swan has run off onto her neighbor's land. So she trespasses into his land to get her swan back. And in doing so, she gets herself stuck in this very mucky pond. And while she's stuck there waist deep in this gross pond, the hero comes along, and his name is Leo, and he is just laughing at the situation. And so he helps her out of the pond, but instead he doesn't want her reputation ruined. So he sneaks her into his house to get all cleaned up. And in doing so, they kind of have a one-night stand in a bathtub that is just perfect. After that, days go by and they can't help but stop thinking about each other. But April has some secrets that she never intended to tell him, and he just wants to get with her. So this one was really good. I really loved it. I love Gerald the Swan. I love the whole thing with the swans. The only thing I didn't like about it is that there is so many comments about her tooth gap, and it just drove me crazy a little bit. He really loves it, but then also there's some side characters that make fun of it, and it just was really annoying. But overall, it didn't detract from my star rating. I really give it 5 stars. This one was great, and I think you all should read it. And the last book I read for January was Praying for Rain by B.B. Easton. This is an apocalyptic romance. It is 3 days until the end of the world. Everyone has been dreaming about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse coming. So you have 2 characters, the heroine, and her name is Rain, and she cannot wait for the world to end. She's tired of it. She wants to leave. She's done. And then you have Wes, who is just looking for a way to survive the end of the world. And they have to learn to work together after he kind of kidnaps her a little bit. And these are just 2 broken people who are looking to try and get through the end of the world together. And they, again, they work together and really try to figure things out. The only thing that didn't quite work for me in this one is that there is a backstory dealing with a child that I probably should have looked up triggers for. Again, this is a bit of a dark romance and it's apocalyptic, so there is going to be a lot of violent tendencies and those kind of things. A lot of assault or attempted assault in this one. But yeah, the only one that really got me was the issue with there's a backstory about a child, and that one was a little bit triggering for me, but I still made it through and I still really enjoyed this book. So those were all my January books. I had a really great reading month, and I only hope it continues into next month. Let me know what your favorite book that you read this month is down in the comments below. I would really love to know. All right, I hope again that you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.